So now that you've talked about the least squares regression line, or the line of best fit, we're going to talk about how to use Desmos to help us find the line of best fit for a set of data, okay? And so I'm going to kind of be going back and forth between this paper and Desmos, so make sure you're looking at your notes so you can kind of follow along, all right? So whenever you're given a set of data and they ask you to find the line of best fit, or they might ask you to find the least squares regression line, something else they might ask you is to find the linear regression model, which is the same thing. And so I'll maybe write this down as well so that you'll know the different ways that they describe this line, but they're all the same thing, okay? You are going to pull up the Desmos app, or the little icon on your screen. And so let me switch it over, and you are going to type in your data. So we're going to go through these steps to find the line of best fit that fits this data, okay? So you'll pull up your Desmos, okay? And then I'm actually going to go through these steps, so if you can, go ahead and follow along with me. So the first thing that you're going to do is type in your data. So you hit the little plus button, and you're going to type in your data. Now, there's two different ways that you can type in this particular data, because you'll notice that they're giving you years for the X values. And so I'm going to type it in one way, and I'm going to show you the other way that you might have to type it in, okay? So we're going to just type in our numbers. So we got 1993, and then 1994. And so notice, just make sure that you're staying in the X values for this, because your table goes a different way than the table in Desmos. And then just be careful not to mistype something. And then go to your Y values, and you'll type those in as well. And so if you look at the table, we're comparing year and money. So I don't know, we don't really know much else other than that. We're just, I guess somebody was observing maybe the year and then how much money they had, or could be how much money they gained. We're not really sure, okay? So once you get your data typed in, and again, just double check it to make sure that everything matches up, you are going to add another thing underneath it. So you add another one, okay? And let me move this so that you can see it. So this time you're adding an expression, and you are writing the equation of a line. So you are going to type in the equation of a line, but you're going to notice that there is a little bit of a difference. Usually with y equals mx plus b, you have an equals right here. This time you are approximating a line. And so instead of typing an equals, you're going to type in what's called a tilde, which is a little squiggly, okay? The other thing, and so it's going to be y, and then you type in a 1, and you'll notice that it automatically makes it a little subscript there. So you don't even have to worry about that. And then the tilde, if you look beside the 1 on the keyboard, there you'll see the little tilde, and you have to press shift to pull it up. And then you type in the rest of it. And you literally type in the m, and then you type in the X, and again, you have to type a little subscript of a 1. Just type the 1. It's going to automatically put it down there for you. And then you've got plus B. Okay, so you'll notice as I'm typing this, there's all kinds of stuff that's kind of popping up below it. That's actually the stuff you're looking for. All right, so once you get that equation typed in, then it will actually give you the equation of the line that if you graphed the scatter plot, it would best fit it. So notice, I'm going to copy down my equation like I normally see it, y equals mx plus b. And then if you look at the very bottom of the screen, they've got m equals a number, and then they have b equals a number. That is your slope and your y-intercept. So all you have to do is plug those in. So my slope, they said, was 32.3 repeating. And then my y-intercept, which is b, was negative 64,105. Okay? So I'm going to switch this back so you can see what I've written here, okay? So all I did is I copied what it said M and B were down. And now I'm going to just plug it in. So it's y equals, my slope was 32.3 repeating, and that goes in front of x. And then my b was negative 64,105. So that is the equation if I plot. And then I graphed the line that kind of goes through the middle of those dots. This would be the equation of that line, okay? So if you have years, here's the catch. They may rephrase the problem in a certain way that may say you want to use as your x the number of years since 1993. So if they say something like that, so like, let me fit this in here. Actually, I'm going to erase this just for the moment so that I can fit this in here. If they say something like years since 1993, then what you want to do is you will not be able to type the years in as you see them. You're going to have to actually type different numbers. So you're going to type in however long that year is from 1993. So 1993 is the beginning, so that's 0 years away from 1993. And then 1994 is 1 year since 1993, so you type a 1 in for that. 1995 is 2 years since 1993. This would be 3 years. That would be 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? And so instead of typing in the years in your table, you would actually type these numbers in your equation or in your table, okay? And it will give you a different equation, all right? And so I want you to be aware of that, because when you're making predictions, or if they just simply ask you to write the equation of the line, pay attention to what they say. If they don't tell you that you have to type the years in as a different number, then you type them in how I did it. But if they say your x values has to be the years since whatever that beginning year, or since a year, you have to type in different numbers into your table. So like all you would do is, let me see if I can switch this back. There we go. Is you would change these to, like, that would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it's going to give you a different equation, okay? So just be aware of that. Okay, so let me switch this back. There we go. So we're going to practice this with a couple other examples just so you get the gist of how to type it in. And then we'll go to correlation coefficient. So let's say that you are comparing, you're making some observations about data, and maybe you're comparing foods, and you're looking at the amount of fat that the foods have, maybe in grams, and then you're looking at how many calories that particular food has, and you're comparing those, okay, and you're wanting to kind of find information about those. If you had to write the line of best fit that would fit that data, so you can maybe use it to make predictions, you're going to type that table in, so you'd follow the same process. You would either clear this out by hitting the X button, or you could add another table if you wanted to leave that up there. Okay, but notice this table is going to put a 2 and a X2 and a Y2 because I've already got a table up there. So I'm going to show you what happens if you have multiple tables and what to do. So I'm just going to type in my data. So these are my X values. Just typing in the data from the table. So I would kind of practice this as well so you can make sure that you understand how it works, okay? So I'm going to double check those numbers, all right? And then I'm going to type in my Y values. So we got 276, 260, 220, 388, 430, 550. You're going to type in your expression. So let me move this back over. Oh. There we go. Now you're going to type in your expression. And so we're still writing the equation of a line, so it's going to be the y equals mx plus b. But this time, like I said before, you want to have it match whatever they have in the table. So now I have to type in a y2 and an x2. And then don't forget, you have to type in the little squiggly because you're approximating. And then it's mx2 plus B, okay? And now it's going to take that data that's in your table and it's going to write the equation of the line that best fits that data, okay? So I'm going to write down my equation, and then I'm going to write down my M and my B. I'm going to plug it in. So my M is 13.6073, and then my B, which is my y-intercept, is 150.869, okay? So I'm going to just plug that in. So I end up getting y equals 13.6073x plus 150.869. So if I kind of think about slope, this is kind of how they relate in terms of slope. So because it's positive, that means as one of them is increasing, as the fat that's in the food increases, I've noticed that the calories also increase. So that's some things that you can kind of start looking at in that equation. And then you could also, so like if I had a food that had 18 grams of fat, I could plug that in here, right there for X, and I could figure out about how many calories it would have if this is a good fitting line of my data, which we'll talk about in a minute, okay? So then that's if they give you a table and you have to find the line of best fit, okay? So then what happens if they give you a graph? Well, you can do it the same way. You're going to take your X values and put them in your table. You're going to take your Y values and put them in the table. If it's easier for you to kind of make a table to the side first, you can do that. So like the X values are my days, and then the Y values are my money. And so I'm just going to start, I usually start on the left and I work my way to the right and I write down my coordinates. So we got 210, 320, 410, 525, and then 725. So maybe this is how much money I made each day, okay? So then I go back to my Desmos. Sorry, it's on a delay here. And then I type that table in, okay? So now I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm just going to exit out of this one. Well, if it'll let me do that. Maybe it won't. It's froze up. There we go. All right, so add another table. And so this is an X2, Y2. If I don't want that, I could actually delete all of the stuff I have, and that way it'll put it up as it was originally. Okay, so if you don't like all the extra stuff, you can always do that. And then I'm going to type in my data. Oh. So let me make sure that I type that in right. And then I'm going to type in my Y values. Okay. And then from there, I've got to type in my equation. And so notice I've got a y1 and an x1 again. So I'm just going to type in my 1's with the x and the y. And then it gives me my equation. So from there, I just write it down. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. So it's y equals, my m is 2.84 if I round to the nearest hundredth, plus 6.08. So, see if I can get this back up. It's really delayed. I apologize.